Hello and welcome to the video. I'm Norton, and today I'm going to be chatting with a fellow indie comic creator, Mr. Adam, and I'm going to be asking Adam how he actually makes his comic work, from drawing to storytelling through to publishing, marketing, and all the other bits in between. So the idea here is pretty simple. It's two comic creators sharing what's worked, what hasn't, what they wish they'd known earlier. So if you make comics, or you want to make comics, or you just enjoy hearing about comics get drawn, then this one's for you. So my guest, Adam, my very first guest, he's one half of Side Quest Comics, a self-described bleak fantasy comic publisher based in Nottingham. So Adam, thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me, dude.
Right.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
No, you're welcome. Right, let's commence then. So, could you just tell us a little bit about your comic, about SideQuest Comics? Give us an overview on where people can buy it, etc.
Yeah. So, first off, I really appreciate it, dude. This is first ever podcast I've been on, I think, and it's exciting as well.
First podcast
I'm glad
made.
you're doing this as well. I'm glad I'm glad that I feel bad because I know for ages you've been like, "Could we get this done?"
Yeah.
I've just been like, "We will do this, I promise." But
I mean, I don't know. I listen to a lot of podcasts while drawing, and I always think it'd be good to have a comic podcast, maybe, to entertain other comic creators.
But yeah, SideQuest Comics. So it's only been going since 2015. 2025. 2025. It was a bit of I always say it's like a why not scenario.
Yeah.
I was heavily inspired by a guy called David Lynch that a lot of people will know of, where it was kind of like, if you have this vision and idea that you want to do, just go for it. And that was kind of like the main push for it. So where the kind of idea, I always wanted to just do something. I always had this like creative mentality and stuff like that. And where the push to make comics came from, obviously I've been a fan of comics all my life, but I'll sort of get into that more. But in terms of the books that I've put out, I've got technically two that you can still get, but three. So you got Walking Death, then you got Tragedy and Death, and then you've got one which I did for mental health charity, which is about ice hockey and mental health. That's mental health hockey there as well. That was basically based on any proceeds from that went straight to Nottinghamshire Mind.
Yeah.
But it all started with A Walking Death, and basically, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people like yourself
do this as well
as a creative. Yeah. With most creatives, we have quite a broad imagination, and I'm sure, like yourself, there's a lot of daydreaming that involves in that, and we're always
definitely
creating stories and stuff like that. And yeah, a lot of the times when I'm listening to music, sometimes I'll have like this idea of music videos in my head, and I had this sort of vision of setting the day, a night that was walking towards this, slowly walking towards a castle. And as they look up, there's this sort of vampire-looking character looking down on them. And then that was just constantly being played in my head. I was always thinking of this, like, really, really matches this music I'm listening to at the time. And then I was like, do you know what? Like, I'm just going to just try and get it out there and see if I can build on it. So, yeah, I kind of thought to myself, well, I've never done any illustration in my life. Like, I went to art college and stuff like that, so I've always had like I guess you could say, like, that kind of approach to things of creativity and stuff, but I've always been held back by that thing that I hear a lot at the moment, actually, is I can't draw, which ironically everyone can technically draw. And I've said this to a few people, if you can draw a smiley face, you can draw. There's absolutely no rules towards to this kind of thing. Like, nothing should be holding you back in the sense of like comparison to other people's work and everything like that. I know there's kind of like people have done a lot of research in comic books and how they should be presented, and if you want certain things in certain ways, but honestly, like, do it exactly how you want to do it. There should never be, it's great to take on the advice and stuff like that, but I always think if like you take too much on, you dilute that kind of approach to what you want to do.
Yeah. I think I've been reading about that a bit as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think we spoke about this before, like when we first met, and I distinctly remember you talking about when to have something within a panel and when not to. Because I've no idea when and where that works, but it's just made me. Go on, sorry, I'll let
It's
you.
a weird one. No, it's a weird one. So apparently, I didn't even know this myself, but supposedly you're meant to have, if something's like an action or an important moment within the story, you make sure that it's inside a panel.
Yeah.
I honestly was just using the panels as a great way to break up elements of the story and just kind of like, nothing ever had meaning or representation to it. It just is what it is, really. And again, I think this is kind of like these kind of little things that people just compare themselves to other people doing the stuff out there that are doing it professionally, etc., and getting paid. It's like, do what you want. And so I picked up a sketchbook, picked up a mechanical pencil, and it was a 7B, which I'll go into a little bit more. But just picked that up and started just drawing these, this music video that I had in my head. And then I was kind of like, I felt like it wasn't really, it was a cool little story and stuff like that. But I was like, I kind of want, if I'm going to do this, I kind of want to like add something, I want to keep this going as a personal thing. So I think a lot of it was kind of like, right, how am I gonna like tailor this as a story? Which a lot of it was like, well, I want to tell a story and I want to help like kind of express certain things that I'm quite passionate about, which as a lot of it was mental health. And I was thinking, how can I use something that aesthetically I absolutely adore, and then how do I tell kind of like a story within that might help a little bit but doesn't have to. So there was more in that which I'll sort of expand on. So it expanded into this place called Death, and it's set in a very kind of, so Walking Death is, like I say, is this night that you start off with as you're kind of following this character, obviously looking quite disheveled, and it's set in a place it's a cold, sort of lonely, very macabre kind of place. As I say, it's like a dark fantasy, but I've always enjoyed like the bleak fantasy because it was, that you can have different genres of fantasy. So I was thinking bleak was a little bit more because there is a bit, like I say, like a macabre kind of approach to it. And so I just went for it. And then so the first one obviously was Walking Death. And as I progressed through it, carried on that, and then enjoyed the process so much, and then decided to carry it on. And then A Tragedy in Death, which came out around October last year, I put that one out, which again was a similar kind of thing. I didn't want to use any narrative or anything like that. I just wanted it to just tell a story that anyone anywhere could pick up, and can follow it and appreciate what I'm trying to sort of get across with the kind of stuff that I'm inspired by. I know obviously towards the end of it there is like a bit of narrative, but it's leaving that interpretation out there to what people think that they think it could mean. And then the only other one was, like I say, Mental Health Hockey. That was just a charity thing for Nottinghamshire Mind, and that was a day in the life of someone that plays ice hockey like myself, and how much that's helped with my mental well-being. But then again, because it's SideQuest Comics, there's a I guess you could say there's a sadder element to it about the reality of that. So they're the two books, and you can get them on. I've got a Big Cartel, SideQuest Comics. No, I think it's the other way around. So I think it's SideQuest Comics, Big Cartel, or Big Cartel, SideQuest Comics. One or the other.
We'll put the link in wherever this is shared. I'll show the links below it.
Nice. And yeah, so the thing I always tell people is they're just self-contained. They're two indie one shots. It doesn't matter which one you read the other. There is going to be eventually, I mean, there is lore between how they all connect, but it doesn't matter. You can literally just pick up one or the other.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're just kind of like one shots because
Are you working
I
on a
think
third one at the moment?
I am, yes. I'm working on. I haven't fully decided the title yet, but it's all about a bit of an insider. The premise is going to be because obviously I like to kind of imply like the kind of mental health aspect to it, but this one there's a lot of it. Every time the theme of each book is kind of like the standpoint of each one is something I've either heard someone else talking about their experiences with their mental health or my own personal ones. But this one really kind of was an interesting one that I've thought about myself and other people I've had conversations with, but how time is kind of wild because we spend so much time in our lives, some people anyway, thinking about trying to do everything all in all your lifetime. And eventually, sadly, the sad thing is that we do pass away, and you could feel like you spent all that time thinking about the worry and anxiety of death itself and not really enjoyed the thing and reflected back. So yeah, and that's a very deep insider scoop to this story. But and then
Luke Skywalker
yeah,
in Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, and this is the thing. But then I'll put that in the bleak fantasy setting where you will be following someone within that kind of setting that is trying to go after something in that same sort of I guess you could say mindset. And I tell you, and do you know what? Because it's why not? Let's see if I can show I guess you can show you
sneak
some
peek.
stuff. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I think the thing is what I've done is that this one's going to be this is going to be a big one. I think I keep forgetting how
more pages.
Yeah.
So how long are the first two? Are they about 20 pages?
They're about. I think Walk was around. I want to say it was I think it was 20.
Yeah.
And then I think Tragedy's like an extra 4 more pages on top of that. But this is looking like it's going to be like double the size of Walk.
Okay.
The way that it's going, yeah, it's there's a lot to this one. There is a lot. There's going to be a new mechanic to the game as well, which kind of resonates with, like I say, the aspect of time. Not being able to do everything all in your lifetime and stuff like that. So there's going to be a game within that I'll explain within it. Can I show you this? I've been teasing some stuff on the
on Instagram.
Yeah. Just trying to think what I just finished recently.
If you want, you can send some stuff through afterwards as well, and I'll put it up on the video.
I can show you that. There's the sword I'm going to cover up because it's a really cool sword. Now I'm going to wait for everyone else to see it on the first glance.
Okay, yeah.
So there's like some of it.
Yeah.
Come through. So this is going to be the main character here.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a little bit there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a big insider. But that's only just the first scene.
Right.
So there's going to be about 4 chapters to this self-contained comic. So yeah.
Right.
So yeah, but so working on the third one, hoping to get it out around June 6th, around my birthday. I'm hoping to do something big around that as well. So yeah, and like I say, SideQuest Comics, it was it started out as an idea of, well, I need to, publish this and figure out how to get it out there. And I know obviously we'll touch on that, but SideQuest was kind of developed as a method to be like, well, once I've done all these comics and once I've got these like ideas and stories in my head like out there, eventually what I would like to start doing is doing the same for other people and see if they've got their own stuff that we can put out there. But it's tricky because, like I say, it's once you start including other people, there's that responsibility element that is like, you're taking on a lot after that. So for now, it's just slow and steady with side quests, and then who knows, where it's gonna go.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can get it on the Big Cartel. Igloo Tree has some copies as well. They've been absolutely amazing. The way that they've just been like, yeah, send us the copies, we'll do that. Mike's Comics in Bristol has looked after me.
Okay.
Haunted Bookshop, they've been amazing. God, so many people that like I say, there's been a few retailers here and there. I'm trying to think who else has it in there.
How did you go into those shops then and say, look, I've got this comic that I've published myself. Do you want to put it on your
Pretty much.
shelves?
I just emailed and just DM'd, and
Yeah.
it was honestly just like DMing as many people with like a just writing
This
out
is
like
what
the
it
simple sort
is.
of thing.
This is why
Yeah,
you need
yeah,
to stock it.
yeah. And I think
Okay.
I think like the best approach to that kind of thing is just never just expecting someone to go, yeah, sure. It's just been like, look,
Yeah.
fine if you don't want it. It's not a problem. Like, like it's more just because I never set out to do SideQuest has never been set out to like just make money. It's not like,
Yeah.
as much as that's really helpful and keeps it going. I think like I just wanted to tell a story. I just wanted people to be like, oh, look at this thing that I've done.
Yeah.
What do you think to it? Do you like it? Is it cool? Is it these stories and stuff? So it's never just been like, I think like if you go into doing this thinking like, oh, I want to make money, I want to make a business and stuff.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna work. Like you have to go in ready to be like, this could not work, this could go this way. And I think as soon as you kind of remove yourself from that and just enjoy and ride the wave, you'll be in a better mindset with it.
Yeah.
So I was happy if people said no. That made it a lot easier at the start.
I'm
Especially.
gonna say like from like an online perspective, I think you could chase the money if you did. I don't know what you call them, porn comics. It's like when I'm sharing my comics online, it's like porn, something normal, porn, and the ones that are like scantily clad or naked cartoon women get thousands of likes. So like, I think
I think that was definitely like an interesting one because especially in dark fantasy. And I didn't want to do anything on Kickstarter. I didn't want to do anything like that. I didn't want to. It was never going to be. I never ever. I've had people in America ask if they can get like PDF copies or like digital, and I can't do it because
it might get shared online and.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest things. Like again, I'll go into it, but that was a big fear of like, like especially now with AI and stuff like that. I was terrified of people just stealing the art and using it, and now I've kind of overcome that a little bit. I'm just like, it is what it is if it happens, because at the end of the day, like
it's real though.
Yeah.
So like I mean, we got like a cat calendar last Christmas, and like I wanted to like I enjoyed it. I wanted to get some like illustrated cats. I wanted to get some of them as prints, and I couldn't find the original artist because I think everyone had sort of taken that original piece of work and put it into various different like calendars and T-shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't find the original art. I can find prints of it, but I don't know. I can find 10 prints of it on Etsy, but who's the person? I think it's very easy to sort of lose control of your art, and I think you see that a lot with illustrators. Not so much with narrative storytelling like comics, but more so with illustrators. I think it's a massive shame.
And I think, like you say, going back to like the kind of stuff that's out there, especially in comic books at the moment, I really wanted to. How could I put it? I wanted to. I mean, like I say, the challenges that were there. I mean, I think we're talking about it later, but like the challenge, there was a big kind of. I'll go more into it in terms of like how I want to, but like just touching on that, it's really interesting you bring that up because I wanted to present something that was completely opposite to the cliche of what's out there right now.
Yeah.
Because it's just not realistic. Everyone looks different, and but that should be celebrated, and that should be apparent that like reading this is, I know I'm saying this, I've got a character with loads of candles stuck to the head, but at the end of the day, it's like, if there's someone that is from a female audience and they see the book that has, like the generic thing, it's just kind of like, they're just, it's just, it ain't my vibe.
Well, I think it's
It
a
just
good
doesn't,
point. I think, yeah, the risk of starting to get controversial, because it's made me think of.
yeah.
I've sort of thought it before, but I think a lot of indie comics, not a lot, but some, it's like you look at it and you go, I get what you're going for, but it goes back to when you said there's certain rules that people think they have to follow,
Mm-hmm.
and you pick them up and you start reading them and like, this is a bit generic. Like, this is like, I could go to a comic shop and buy a Marvel comic, and this is like just another version of like
Yeah.
something mainstream, or another version of Deadpool or another character like that.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
yeah, I think independent comics or even web comics are the opportunity to sort of people to really express themselves and really go out there, because there's no publisher. You can do what you want and no one's going to tell you not to. But yeah, I think sometimes people box themselves in too much because of those preconceived notions of what a comic should be and how that story should be told.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was something that when I like I say, I picked up the pencil and just started going for it. There was an element where I was like, none of this is looking like similar stuff I've read in, like, Spider-Man and stuff like that. None of this looks anything like that. And I was like, but I'm kind of glad about that, because
Yeah.
like the way that if this felt a little bit more kind of like, I guess, like, I don't know, like inclusive in some retrospect, or like real, or like kind of, like, technically the knight in Walk, it doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't, if you've read it and stuff like that, I won't spoil, but it's like the same for tragedy, especially the main character. It generally doesn't matter what they are like, what they look like, who they are, what. It's more just because it's about the story and telling that and just making it palatable for everyone to enjoy, because it's like I say, like it is not overcast with things that are there just as like just to look nice. I don't know. I'm awful at explaining this kind of thing, but
No,
I
yeah,
wanted
it
to,
makes
like I
sense.
say, I wanted to make it feel as inclusive as I could in some respect, because
I think
that's the best thing,
just my sort of, I'll try not to talk too much, but my sort of approach was similar to yours, where I'm like, I want to do something. I haven't seen comics like the comic I want to write, the story I want to tell. So I went out there and tried to do that. But I think I wish I'd kind of spent more time looking at how it was done first. But part of me thinks if I'd done that, maybe I wouldn't have arrived at the same point that I am now. Maybe I'd have arrived at it quicker. So, but I think, yeah, it's sort of, for me, one thing I'm sort of learning is it's like knowing the rules and knowing when to break those rules.
Yes.
But you sort of made me think about 1,000 things. So I remember, like, I years ago, I published a couple of pages for one of my comics online, and someone commented and said, "You've used too many shades of grey. You should only use," I can't remember, I think they said 4 shades or something. And I'm like, all right, why? But they couldn't explain, and I'm like,
They couldn't say why.
yeah, and it's like, right, if that is a rule, because I know some people say you use black, white, and then you have 3 tones from like a dark grey, mid grey, and a light grey. Other people don't, and it's like, yeah, I think people, if you're offering that criticism, sometimes I welcome criticism, but I'd like people to be able to sort of explain it, because you want to be able to learn from criticism. And
Yeah, definitely.
sometimes it's like people are just sort of putting rules out there without being able to sort of really sort of explain and go, this is why. This, other people have done this before. This is what they've learned from it, and this is why they've settled on 3 tones of grey. I still don't know why.
No,
I
and
do
I
try
think
and
this is the
limit how many
thing.
tones I use to like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But like I read comics and they use like loads. So
Yeah. Because I think this is it. It's more just like the only rules that should apply is like apply to the art that what you want it to look like.
Yeah.
So if you want to use 5 shades, that's fine. It doesn't matter about the, because this is the thing. It's like I've managed to do these books without having any kind of, I guess like guidance on how to do this. I've just
Yeah.
done it, and I think that's kind of like proof within it that I think as well, it depends what kind of thing I guess like if you work in Marvel or DC, you probably do have to follow like X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
I get that, but it's when I think that's the beauty of independent comics
Yeah.
is that it's just like you do whatever you want, and people will appreciate it because you've been able to
Yeah.
do that, and that's the best thing about it. Yeah, it's like I say, like you're saying, like someone recommending 3 different shades, and you have to do this, you have to do that. It's just like, well, no wonder no wonder this is still such an underground thing because
Yeah.
everyone's like, well, I've got to do it like this because some voice says I'm supposed to.
You maybe think of something there, but yeah, I had another thought as well from one I published recently, where I had a guy that was meant to be stressed out,
Mm.
and I used like there's like a comic language for certain emotions, and there's like the bulging vein. I think I used the bulging vein. I think he was meant to be nervous, but I used the bulging vein, and like someone said, "Why is he angry?" And like this character did not look angry at all. He meant to be like stressed. I went, no, he's stressed, and like, well, you should have used a sweat drop. Like the bulging vein means he's angry. The sweat drop means he's nervous, and it's like part of me is like, right, well, for me, that's the kind of expression I want. Like the rest of him looks nervous. I might find this and share it so people can comment before I do change it to a sweat drop. But yeah, it's like for me,
Again,
yeah,
though, it doesn't matter. Like,
yeah,
if you
but
like that and that's what you want to do, then it's yours, man.
but
Like,
but
do
what
you know
I'm
what I
sort
mean?
of thinking is like if people are used to people read a lot of comics and they're used to it, things being communicated in a certain way, and you do something different, it can confuse certain readers, but at the same time, maybe that's
Yeah.
handicaps creativity a little bit because. But yeah, I think the point, what you need to do is you need to create something that whoever reads it knows what's happening. I think what you've
Yeah.
done well in yours is, and I wanted to mention this. You said there's no dialogue. There's no like this is what's happening. Like slow crawls at the start of Star Wars or anything. I keep mentioning Star Wars today. But it is just pure visual, and I've done that myself before for one of my comics, and it is very difficult to tell a story just like without any dialogue because you forget how much you rely on like what a character's saying to inform the emotion or the action in the panel. So yeah, I think what you've done is really good because you not only just there's no dialogue, you're telling a story that's purely visual, and you are so essentially putting the reader in that knight's shoes, their boots, so that they're
Because
part of the story.
I think it was a personal thing as well because I've always like struggled reading comic books that have like so much dialogue in one panel.
Yeah.
Like if you're showing me what's happening, you don't need to tell me everything. And I think it's I know it's like it's more of an old school thing of the golden age of comics and stuff like that. That would have been just the way it was because that's just how they did it. But and I can kind of that's fair enough. And back in the day, like that's fine. But I think when it's like more modern, it's just a bit like it's look. And again, it's their work; they can do what they want. But I just felt like for me as a reader or what I'm seeing, it's like I would get so lost in the speech bubble that I would kind of forget what's happening around
You don't
it.
look at the actual.
And I think like we're comic book fans at the end of the day, as much as we absolutely adore like the writing and stuff. At the end of the day, we're there because we love the visual. We enjoy the visuals that we see because otherwise we'd be reading books. I guess I don't want to go. There's a big statement there, but we're fans of art, and that's what we want to see. So when you have a huge speech bubble over this, an amazing moment, it's just like
I think you've got to balance it,
that's
haven't
what I
you? You
wanted
got
to
to
avoid.
make sure that if you are using dialogue and speech bubbles, that they're sort of planned in and they're not dominating what's on the page. But so you've got like on your YouTube channel like a mix of songs to listen to while you're playing.
Yeah.
So I read One Punch Man and Murata did that with what like an issue a while back. He said like read this. It was a classical piece of music while you read this chapter.
Nice.
So I'm gonna do that. But I think I got that sucked into the visuals that this piece of music had ended long before I'd got.
Yeah.
So I'm like, maybe
Yeah.
I am like, 'cause I think you are meant to flow through it, but me, like, I can appreciate artwork sometimes, and maybe it's
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a slow
Yeah,
reader.
it was a random one. I
Mm.
wanted to, because I think I've come from like again, it's like SideQuest is all about just all the media that's come with it. It's not just about comics, it's about
Right.
everything. So I've come from I guess like a background of like so one of my favorite band is Deftones. If you piece all of it together, you'll understand where Def the spelling comes from. But
Right. Okay.
the singer himself, Chino Marino, is a big fan of, basically on his social media, all he'll do is just link you to random bits of
Yeah.
media and music and stuff. And I love the idea of just like, you know, swapping music and music being a massive part of it, especially kind of like the culture that it sort of navigates around, like the metal kind of music and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I just wanted to kind of say, I kind of wanted to add like, well, when I was writing and doing all this, when I had music on, this was kind of like the stuff that I was visualizing to that music. But it doesn't have to, you don't have to didn't listen to the whole playlist. It just could be, you could just listen to that one song for that read through and then, go
Yeah.
back to it another day. Because I literally had someone today, it was really sweet. Someone said that they've read both books to both playlists, but as much as they could to each song.
Yeah.
I was like, that's absolutely incredible. That's all I've ever wanted, is just to be like, oh, did you enjoy that other person's music, not mine? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's about sharing other people's like things that I think need to be celebrated. And like I say, music was just a huge one because without that, I wouldn't be thinking of these cool images and
Yeah.
putting out there. So yeah, the playlist was like, it's like a mixtape kind of thing. When you give someone a mixtape back in the day, from the, I grew up in the '90s, so that was kind of like a big
Yeah.
thing
Me
of
too.
sharing CDs and
Yeah.
like that kind of thing. So there's another just level that I wanted to add on top of it of just, yeah, this is the stuff that I love. And again, the next book will have the same, like its own playlist of stuff that comes out new and old and random. And like, yeah, it's fun because I think as well, so like someone was saying, is the cool thing is you could read one of them books to one piece of music and then you could read it to another and have a totally different
Yeah.
approach to it. So yeah, no, it's the play. I'm glad that the playlist have kind of worked because again, I'm just like whatever, like if people pick it up, they pick it up. If not,
Yeah,
it is
it's
what it is.
like I'm not very musically inclined, so it's not anything I've thought about. Like, I mean, at the moment when I'm posting, I put one of my comics on Instagram and TikTok, and always like trying to find the right music to go with it, which is
Yeah, yeah,
difficult. 'Cause you don't want it to be
yeah.
too jarring, and yeah, it's I struggle, and that's with like something that takes you 5 seconds to read.
So
Uh,
this is the funny thing you say that because I was having the same thing. I was like, because I've got a business profile for the SideQuest Comics
yeah,
Instagram, a lot of stuff's kind of like you got to be careful what you kind of put out because a lot of it will be copyrighted. So again, it was like finding stuff that's like works. So then eventually, I just was like, I'm just going to take the music off the social post and just be like, hey, look, this is the stuff that I'd like to go with it.
yeah,
you know. But yeah, same thing. I'm actually in now. I'm actually, so this is another thing what's like I like to do, which I think about SideQuest is that I'm actually talking to a couple of people that I know, just mates and stuff that make music. So eventually, I'll be able to put together stuff that's actually genuinely just like this is actually just the theme from this, and this is what if there was a
yeah,
movie soundtrack to these books, this is what it would probably sound like. And again, I think the one thing that like is really important for especially people like in our scenario in the independent is just try and own everything. Like owning as much, like everything in this book other than the font. I think everything in my books is I don't own the font obviously, but everything
yeah,
else other than maybe one or two grunge effects or something like that. But even the front cover of Tragedy is it's actually a selfie. I'm actually in this picture, but it's zoomed in so much because basically behind me is like a when you go to like I guess you say like a like a horror house or attraction or something, they'll have like a wall of skulls. There was this wall of skulls, and I'm about here, and then basically I wanted to use that image, so I'd zoomed in so much, completely changed it. But again, it was just the reason being is just so I owned that image. So I'd
Who's that?
that is me. And then even at the back, even at the back, the image with me, the chains around the border around it.
Yeah.
I took a picture of those chains as well. So everything within it is pretty much like just trying to own as much as you can when it comes to the music and everything, because then again it becomes even more personal.
I just
you're not kind
throw
of,
everything apart from the
all of that.
even I've been doing it with Goblets and Goblins recently. Like I sort of use a font.
Such a good name. I absolutely adore that. I think that's incredible.
There's been 0 Goblets and 0 Goblins so far, but yeah. Well, you got a goblet there. Very nice.
It's still got the. I've just realised it's still got the barcode sticker under there.
Yeah. With that, I picked a font, and then I'm like, look, this font isn't quite right. I always go for free to use fonts, so I've sort of got one and use that as inspiration and try and manipulate that. It's not that different, to be honest, but yeah, I don't even in my other comics, if I'm doing sound effects, it's very rare that I'll just type it out and leave it, because you have to manipulate a bit to make it fit in. So yeah, I always redraw that and sort of try and do that by hand.
Yeah, but even this, because I mean, I got quite lucky with the font because it is pretty much the old school Games Workshop.
That's what I've done on my
shout out
logo as well, or tried to.
Yeah, I think it's called Maria Citadel, and whoever made it, like, thank you so much. I think it's a free one. It's free as well. It's crazy. Like,
have a look for that.
So they deserve so much props for making that font because it's just incredible. And I know I see it a lot. I see it used a lot. But
I've just looked at my logo. It's not. It's like I used. I think it's a Breath of the Wild font. I didn't realize
sweet.
I didn't realize until we were at Inkblot, and I got like the massive standee behind me with it on. Oh, hang on. Somebody just posted it online and gone, this is a free font for you to use, and I used a different one originally, and the guy had said, it's free to use for personal use, but if you want to, I thought, all right, I better change it, avoid that.
It's quite a challenge, isn't it, when you have to kind of look at, you really want to be careful every time.
Yeah.
I was exactly the same when I was looking at fonts. I was like, I don't ever want to get in a scenario where that person's not credited, but also just like, can I use this for this? So I think that was another thing where you spend like hours. See, that was the thing.
If it gets to that stage, sorry, I meant I'd use it, and then if they went, oh, you owe me $25 for using this, so unless they sue me, and then I'll reprint it.
But even, mate, honestly, like even the crazy things, like, so the banner that I take to conventions has got a red curtain in it because it's a reference to Twin Peaks.
We said Twin Peaks.
Yeah, nice. And I realized I actually found the tablecloth that I use at conventions is a red curtain, so I was just like, well, I'll just take a picture of that hanging up, and now I've started using that instead. So it's just like anything you can. Like I said, I don't know where I'm going with this, but like I say, I always think it's so much better if you can try and use as much as your own thing, because then it's yours and you have a lot more kind of like I guess like connection to it.
And
but that's side quest.
That's where I'm at. Sorry, I kept jumping. Like what you mentioned made me think about a lot of different things. It's quite evocative as like a comic itself. So I mean, I've read it a couple of times. I want to forget it, and then I'll read it again. But and like, I like what you've done with it a lot. What art would you say sort of inspired it? So were there any comic artists or anyone's style that you?
it's a weird one because
Mm.
there are comic. I've got a stack of comics to go through to show you like where it all kind of came from. But weirdly,
Yeah.
like I say, side quests and everything that I wanted to do was more about the different kind of media types that I was into
Yeah.
growing up and then where I'm at now. If I don't say this one first, just to get it out of the way, I think everyone will be losing their minds. But Dark Souls is obviously
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
a huge
I think you
inspiration,
get that
and
more when you read it as well, because it is sort
yeah,
of like, yeah.
it's crazy, man. Like I didn't even. I think I remember I played it in lockdown. I played all of them with my friends and stuff at the time, and I think because I never really. It wasn't until lockdown I'd known much about it, and I think as much as I'm not great at playing it, but what did it for me was just the aesthetic and how they've presented dark fantasy is like
Yeah.
it's incredible because they've done this. They've done exactly what I wanted to do with these comics was tell a dark fantasy story, but in like a sad, like a macabre kind of approach where it
Yeah.
isn't as we remember in like the kind of heroic kind of approach with, and there's nothing wrong with like the things that you'd see with like the sword and sorcery kind of stuff and all that, but like Dark Souls did it where it's like it is quite bleak and depressing and but there's also like a romantic side to it.
Yeah.
It's I just thought it blew my mind like how this exists and the lore being so rich and so ingrained in it. So yeah, Dark Souls 100%. It's funny because I always draw stuff and I'm like, oh, that's really cool, and I'm like, wait, hang on, that might be from Dark Souls every time. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, fair enough. But yeah, if I don't mention that, then I think people will be a bit upset if I don't. But yeah, 100% Dark
Fair enough.
Souls. But
Yeah.
like, I think a lot of it comes from, and I think so going way back, it all kind of I was lucky enough to be a nerd. I think that's the best way I'm going to put it. Is like I
Yeah.
was lucky enough to have things around me that me and you are both into, and we can celebrate and enjoy that.
Yeah.
So it kind of like, so I think I'll go through like video games is a big one. Like I was a lucky kid. I had a PS1 when they came out, and I absolutely adored the fact that with a PlayStation 1 that the games that we had were centered around the games that I had was very like dark fantasy at the time. So
Yeah.
there was
I'm looking forward to
this
this.
game here. I don't know if that shows up.
Soul
Soul
Reaver.
Reaver Legacy of
Yeah.
Kain.
I
This was
I don't know if you've read one of my comics, but I've got a guy who wears a mask over his mouth in one of them.
no way.
I played that. I forgot the name of it, and I was
Oh,
like,
Razia.
yeah, I was trying to find the name
Yeah.
of that game. I ended up going through like a list of all games released for like to eventually get it. Yeah, just for reference. And then it didn't look like I remembered anyway, so I couldn't really use it. But yeah,
No,
yeah,
it's
good game.
mate. Honestly, it
Yeah,
was a game that introduced me to like not just like vampires and cool stuff like that, but it was also like it was kind of like before I'd played Dark Souls. It was my
yeah,
Dark Souls as a kid that there's this fantasy setting that exists. It's a little bit more different, but it's so clever at articulating what it's trying to do, and I was absolutely obsessed with it because it's a tragic story. I think that's like the
yeah.
biggest thing is like it's a dark fantasy,
I
video
can't
game, but it's
remember much
tragic.
about it.
Yeah, macabre. Yeah, and I think that was like what kind of set me off. I was like, I want more like this. I don't, and then I picked up Diablo, and again, it was just that dungeon crawling aspect
Yeah,
of that. Just you cannot match that game. Diablo 1 and 2 just absolutely was just I absolutely spent hours and hours and hours and hours playing that game as a kid. It was just the coolest thing ever. It's just being whatever character I wanted to be and create this character, and then endlessly going on these quests and fighting
it
skeleton demons,
yeah.
goblins.
Yeah, it's a game I want to revisit as an adult because I don't think I really played
Oh,
it much
do
when I
it.
was younger. Well, this is
It's even better.
my concern with that is I just know it'd suck me in, and like any
Yeah.
free time I've
Oh
got,
yeah.
I'll just evaporate. So yeah, I tend to stay away from gaming at the moment. just haven't got time
Yeah,
for it. It's a
it's finding
shame.
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
literally. I'm just currently playing Silent Hill 2 at the moment. I'm just
Oh
like,
yeah,
I can
yeah.
only do an hour of this. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I've got to turn it off because it's bedtime and stuff like that, and I don't want to
Yeah.
go to bed after playing Silent Hill 2. But yeah, so I had that as a kid, and then staying with video games, there was this one. It's a little bit more recent. This is Blasphemous.
Right. No, I've not
So
played
this
that.
is again, oh dude, this is kind of like imagine if you had played Dark Souls, but it's more like a retro kind of
Okay.
2D pixelated kind of version of it. So
Right.
it's Metroidvania, set in like it's like Spanish folklore, and again, it's got that same kind of aesthetic that I absolutely navigate to with like dark fantasy, but like I say, in like a more kind of sadder approach to it. Everything's just like say bleak. And yeah, Blasphemous was a big one about like that kind of inspired what I'm trying to do. And then the absolute the goat, the one that set all of this, that brings it all together game wise, was is Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Because that, I think Castlevania Symphony of the Night especially is exactly what SideQuest is all about. Is that they've got everything. It's this kind of like romantic approach to dark fantasy that you look at all these incredible illustrations that they put together of the characters, and it's not just I got nothing wrong with like I love games like Golden Axe and stuff like that, but like you've got Golden Axe kind of approach to dark fantasy and fantasy stuff, but then you've got the Castlevania where it is a little bit more like like the kind of romanticized version of it. So yeah, Castlevania. Without Castlevania, there'd be nothing of what I put into these comic books, especially A Walking Death. That was a huge like love letter to Castlevania, and I'd love to do more that kind of leans more into Castlevania and stuff like that. I do have one day once I've kind of got through all these ideas and stuff. There is something I'm going to do that leans a lot more into video games, and I'm hoping it works, but. It's gonna be an
creating a
interesting
video
one.
game or a comic inspired video.
It will be a comic.
Yeah.
It will be a comic, but there's going to be a lot of inspiration from video
Nice.
games within that. And the amazing thing is, a buddy of mine who's picked up the comics as well. He's currently working with a load of like PlayStation 1 graphics. Shout out Dan. But he's doing a load of stuff with like the style of PlayStation 1 graphics with all the characters from the comics. So
nice.
that's
Will we get to see
so
them?
as well. Yeah. So there is a big plan to kind of put together like a mini kind of, I guess like an infomercial, I guess, for SideQuest that will have loads of artwork featured and stuff like that. So yeah,
nice.
there's an exciting little mini movie, I guess you could say, like I'm working on. Just finding time. So that's video games. So next, I guess, is films.
Okay.
And I won't go crazy into this because there's so many films.
I've got to say, thank you for preparing as much as you have done.
Like I said to you, like I was literally running around my whole flat, just like, gotta grab that, gotta talk about that. And this is the crazy thing, is like, there's probably like 100 more things I could probably add to this. But like for now, it needs to
we'll do another one.
Yeah, hell yeah. So I guess like as a kid, it always started with this film here, Dark Crystal.
Yeah.
Being introduced to, as a kid, like I say, like fantasy, and being absolutely terrified at the same time, and also confused, I guess. I like the fact that Dark Crystal kind of confused me because it wasn't, again, generic. It was very like its own self-contained thing. It was very kind of like, it is a dark fantasy, but it's like, it's so particular in what it's trying to do and what its presentation is, and yeah, Dark Crystal, without Dark Crystal, man, like it's.
Was it made while Jim Henson was? So it's in the 80s, isn't it? So he was actively involved in that before he died, wasn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And it's just
it's one of those that I didn't see as a kid. I think I watched it as an adult, and because I didn't watch it as a kid, it didn't resonate as much with me.
I've heard that a lot. And I think that's a lot of the reason why it didn't take off as well. It's the same for Legend, the Tom Cruise and Tim Curry film.
Yeah. I haven't properly seen that. Yeah. But like, when I was little, my dad was showing me RoboCop, and
Oh, I
So
mean that's fine. That's still, but even
yeah.
then, even then, if I wasn't
Mm.
scared at Dark Crystal by some of the stuff in that, the RoboCop scene with the guy obviously that gets all the toxic waste on him kept me up
Oh
for
yeah,
like
yeah.
days on end, days on end. It was
That it
absolutely
didn't bother me.
terrifying.
Like, and I think looking back on it, my dad was just like, whatever film he wanted to watch was also a children's film, and like, I think I just
Well, they made a
everything
toy line.
they did, yeah. And that, I don't know why they did that, but
It's so
um,
surreal. It was a weird time, wasn't it? Like getting
my
Alien
friends
figures
at
and them
school
not
had
being able to
seen it
watch
as well.
Alien.
Maybe not
Mm.
some of them, but they did. Like when Terminator 2 came out in the early 90s, everyone at school had
Yeah,
sort of seen that, which we shouldn't have done. But yeah,
not at all.
yeah, and then you try and put kids' films on, I wouldn't be bothered. So yeah, I
I
think
think
I
that's how
missed a
they
few
got it,
things.
though. I think that's how they got it. They knew kids were going to love these films. They knew that we
Yeah.
were, we would grow up to the people we are, like into the stuff we're into. So, like fair play to them doing that. But yeah, like
Mm.
Dark Crystal and stuff like that, like
Yeah.
Willow's another film that was just similar to like just kind of different that I was looking like, you had like things like Neverending Story. That was another,
Yeah.
dark fantasy, but it was a lot more easy to watch as a kid, except for
Yeah.
the thing, but obviously that
It was
sucks.
aimed at kids, wasn't it? More so
Yes,
than
exactly.
yeah.
But yeah, that was a big one. This film here was, I don't know if you've ever seen this, Mandy, Nick
Is that?
Cage film.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say. I thought yeah, yeah. It's fairly recent.
Yes,
Mm.
yeah. I think what I liked about this, and like I say, in the approach to what I do as side quest, is that it was a very kind of like it experimented with different approaches to the storytelling. There's a lot of different mixed media, and
A
it's very
bit
trippy
Lynchian,
and
isn't it?
exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And the the biker gang in this was a little bit of a lean into what I was trying to do for A Tragedy in Death with some of the
Right.
characters within the dungeon. They're kind of like the Cenobite kind of characters that are in
Right.
there that, they're knights, but they've got this kind of demonic kind of approach to them. That's why there's 4 of them as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mandy was a big one because it was again, it was like with SideQuest, it's like it's cool to do. You could just say that this is just a generic sort of film approach to it, but again, it did like that different camera angles and slow pacing.
Yeah.
And yeah, and if and like you say, Lynch was a huge inspiration to understanding, appreciating like artwork and art and taking your
Mm.
time with it and just going for it and not listening to people telling you can't do it like that because that's not how, Lynch was, the man to say like, no, just if you love it, do it. And if you're passionate about it, go for it. And,
Yeah.
if there wasn't them words, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing now. Right. So yeah, Mandy's, like you say, it's got a big Lynch sort of vibe to it. Next one, I'm sure you'll appreciate this, but this film right here.
Never seen it. No, only kidding. Yeah. Yeah. What did
Yeah,
you
Blade
think of
Runner.
the sequel?
I loved it. I absolutely adored it.
I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I absolutely
Yeah.
adored it because I like that it took everything, like I was saying just then, like it took everything that I loved about Blade Runner and used that the slow pace and
Yeah.
you can make a sci-fi film that can be slow paced and can be arty and can be this, that, and the other, and have a bit of like a deep meaning to it to make people think, and that's the kind of thing that the 2 books that I wanted to do was that it can be like this slow paced scene, or it can be this, it can you can have a deeper meaning to it. And
Yeah.
it's exactly what Blade Runner did. It was it was an experiment in some retrospect, like, will this work? And
Yeah.
in some retrospect it didn't, but yeah, the second one I absolutely adored it because it took everything that I loved about the first one and it was a nice love letter to the original.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was big. That was a big inspiration for that. And then finally, finishing films. I am just good. Like I say, I'm great at talking about things I like. I'm awful
Yeah.
at talking about me. So I do. People have probably switched off at this point if they have. But this is just great for me to talk about cool stuff that I love. But I don't have any. I don't have it on Blu or anything. But obviously, being from Nottingham, I was very, very lucky to have a hero called Robin Hood.
Yeah.
and the Kevin Costner film,
Yeah.
the Robin Hood, the Prince of Thieves
Well,
film
Robin Hood's
was.
from Barnsley.
I knew this was going this way. I have so many people from like either Sheffield or here or there that are just like, he's not actually from. And I always say, like, look, if he wasn't a fan of the place, why did he move here?
Well, yeah. It's like me. I'm from Barnsley, and I moved away.
Yeah. So like, but
Yeah.
yeah, I grew up. I was grew up. My hero was Robin Hood, and that
Yeah.
film. The cool thing about that film, again, it brought in all the dark fantasy stuff within it, because it wasn't just like your generic Robin Hood story.
Yeah.
It was dark, man. Like the witch and
Yeah.
all the stuff that was going in with it. And
It's
again, that
Alan
was like
Rickman, isn't it? Sheriff of Nottingham.
Alan Rickman.
Yeah,
Like, what else do you
fantastic.
need? Like,
Yeah.
he's the GOAT. And and I think that was, if that film didn't exist, you wouldn't have these books right now, because without them, there is no breaking that rule of like fantasy can do, it can go into it can present itself without you knowing that it's going to be a darker story, if that makes sense. And yeah, with that, it was just like some of the and again, like, the thing is, I'm a huge fan of like way, I think this is again thrown back to Lynch, but how things are shot, and I love like seeing visual shots and stuff like that. So again, it was something that I'd love to be able to do that within the comic. So every comic will always start with a full page
Like
image
establishing
always
shot.
first.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I do something similar. Not always anymore, but I think I made a point of doing that.
Yeah,
For a while, like the
definitely.
first page was always one solid page. The
Yeah,
last page was always one solid page. Stop doing that though.
definitely.
But yeah, I get that, and I think I come from a little bit of a film background as well, and the way
Oh,
I was
cool. Oh, really?
the way I was sort of writing my comics was like storyboarding, and
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
people said, "Oh, your comics look really cinematic," which is good, but at the same time, I think it's getting that balance right, because it's not a storyboard, is it? It needs to do a bit more than that, and I think,
Mm.
yeah, I'm still getting my head around that a bit. But
Definitely.
yeah, so it made me think, because I think when you read your comics, it is like you're in the moment, and it is quite cinematic in the way you do it as well. So yeah, I get what you mean there completely.
No, nice. Yeah, and I think, it's just like, again, it's just like you say, it's like, you can just tell the story in a you can get people within. I like the idea that people are kind of, it's like, you absolutely nailed it. It's like the way that I think about some of the panels is like a camera shot. Like, so that those first couple of, like, the reason why A Tragedy in Death is that bird's eye view, because I'm imagining the camera of the film, that panning over this field, and then it goes to that one shot. So it's like, and this is what I'm thinking, that if I'm able to do that, then there technically are no rules to writing a comic book. Because if I go, well, I'm actually doing it from a film perspective, but there's also elements within Walking Death that I would say is kind of like more of a manga perspective, because when the knight's jumping in the air, that's more of a throw to the manga approach of how they would show action shots, really kind of to show that depth. But again, like I've got no experience in this. It's just, I just do what I like to see, and then try and translate that in there.
Yeah, because I try and read as much as I can, which isn't that much, and learn. And there was something I picked up recently, which is in some mangas. What they do is they say they have one long panel. They will break it. Like you have it's one long picture.
Oh,
but
yeah,
it's broken to sort of show that it's a transition. I didn't realize that. I always like, it's just make it look like a transition. I think again, because I probably didn't know how to read that. It always took me out the moment, because anytime I saw that, I'm like, why have they done that? What's going on? And I had to look it up a little while ago. It's like, it's a transition. Like, all right, not working for me, but maybe I'm ignorant.
But it's kind of cool that it made you want to find out more about it.
Yeah, it's looking up those.
I think that's kind of cool, because it's like, I think that's the fun thing, is like, if you don't, if something you're like, why is that a thing? It's like you're seeking out to understand it, and I think you're giving that comic, even, or that book, or that medium, even more like love and attention because you're researching about it in some retrospect.
Well, this
and now
is
it's like,
how
oh, cool.
lazy I am. It's One Piece. We're in like issue 1150 or something. And I finally looked it up. So I just kept going, what's he doing? And then, it got to that point. Like
You
I read
gave
it
in.
over 1,000 chapters. I'm like, I'm gonna have to look what this is. Yeah, I'm gonna have to find out.
What does it mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So where else we at? So that's basically films. That's good. Yeah, at least some of them. I could be here all
Yeah.
day, like forever. But I guess moving on to something I feel like you would appreciate is I guess like toys and gaming.
Yeah.
And there's this thing that both of us are big fans about. It's this thing here.
Yeah.
This, without obviously living in Nottingham, I can't get away from it. But without this, again, it's just like this was the first ever thing I ever got for Warhammer. This was
Really, yeah.
yeah. Well, it isn't this one, but I tracked it down again. I basically wanted to preserve it. You know, when you were a kid and you had Warhammer, you just absolutely just
I think
kit
I've got
bash and
some
then it
behind
just
me.
disappears. Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say I'm noticing some stuff.
I've not checked what's behind me, but I can see a few like above my head. I think the first thing I had was like, you remember the starter set with the skink and the space marine.
Yeah.
Because like I mid 90s I got into it because I remember when the Games Workshop in Meadowall opened. I can't remember.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Because I picked it. Well, the funny thing is, when I was a kid, I didn't know the difference between Space Marines and Chaos. I just thought it was just Space Marines. Yeah, and I was like, well, these are because it's got the Night Lords on the front. I was like, well, these are cool as, they got demon wings with skulls and stuff. So I was just like, I want them.
Yeah.
And then so from there it was just I was a huge Vampire Counts fan, and I managed to pick this up earlier the other day off eBay. It's actually still in its thing, the Blood Dragon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to. I don't know whether to open it or not. It feels kind of wrong, but the bit that gets me, it's £6.
It used to be 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
I sold all mine.
Oh, it's heartbreaking, mate, isn't it?
I actually sold it. I had a load of Space Wolves and Space Marines. I sold them all.
Oh,
and
nice.
Got a decent amount from. And then this was before they brought out Astartes. So pick the right time to sort of drop them. But like I've not got time. I'm sorry, it's a bit of a negative.
Well,
Nancy.
this is it.
I wish I did.
The minute I started doing the comics I actually took away from hobby and doing all my Warhammer and stuff. And I was kind of like, well, this I can kind of put it out there and it'd be a bit more kind of expressive of what I'm trying to do. I can just put that there. And I mean, I adore the Warhammer I've got, but it is just for me to look at on a shelf in this retrospect. Basically what I'm saying is I haven't done enough to take it further. I know other people do, and it's incredible. But yeah, it's one of the things I do have to kind of sort of look at, like, well, which one do I kind of
I'm just
navigate
exactly
more
the same. But I probably watch more Warhammer videos on YouTube of people painting, customizing, and doing various things with models, and I've not painted anything in years and years.
I'm the same. See, the thing is, this is why I like, and this is the thing that kind of goes into why, bringing up Warhammer, is that I like the idea that there can be a bit of an intertwine with side quests going into the miniatures community and I want to say like the underground kind of element of miniatures, especially at the moment. Like, there's so many cool independent miniature companies out there, and they're all doing things that I prefer. Like there's Mammoth Miniatures. They're doing like they're doing their own thing that's a lot more kind of dark fantasy, and there's a lot more throwback to the old school stuff, which and I think on top of that, you got a lot of people doing their own like RPGs and tabletop games. You got
a lot of people doing them
who are absolutely crushing it, and just like that kind of aspect of what it is again is like what I kind of see side quest kind of intertwining with, because it's like it's another thing that it's a appreciation and passion for that, but it's just a different approach to it, because I got to give a massive shout out to CJ at Glaive. This is an American
You've
magazine.
put me on to Glaive as
Basically.
well. I messaged them
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
you
Dude,
were in
it's
them, and I
so good.
was like, yeah, I'd like to be in it as well. Please, I probably won't because
Yeah,
I've sent them again goblets and goblins, which I don't know if that fits the
yeah.
aesthetic.
No,
For...
honestly, that he
yeah,
is doing amazing things at the
yeah,
moment. He's basically just talking about all the stuff we love, like miniatures, films, music, that
yeah.
sort of thing, comic books. But yeah, it was a really random one because obviously, yeah, this is technically the only time SideQuest has ever made it to America is in this
All right,
this
yeah,
book here.
cool.
And yeah, I just love that he's able to collect all the stuff that he's passionate about and what he loves, and
Stick it
then
in,
kind
yeah,
of
and share
put
it.
it out there. Yeah, and
Oh,
that again, that's what SideQuest is trying to do as well.
I think you've
So
touched on something there with, like I said, like tabletop or role-playing games, which is like similar to comics,
mm,
where there's a lot
mm,
of independent stuff there that's sort of free from
yeah,
restraints or constraints, so people are able to do
definitely.
things a bit. There's a lot of Kickstarters. Like I've got a few behind me, like
Yeah,
this one here. I forgot what it's
yeah.
called. I got that. I put it on Instagram the other day. One Last Fight. Sorry, I was playing that the other
Okay,
night, and that's off Kickstarter, and it's just like people can make and do things and then get
it's
it out to
amazing.
people a lot
Yeah,
more readily than they used to be able to do.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I think that's the thing. Like, it's the same sort of approach like I just did for the comic. It was just like, you know, there's so many, like you say, like tabletop games and RPGs are out there where people are just like, I've wrote this game, I'm just gonna put it out there myself, and it's more about bringing
Mm.
together a bunch of people that enjoy this rather than just mass producing and making a load of money. And I think that's the thing I appreciate with what Glaive's trying to like
Yeah.
push out there, is that there's this huge community of people of we're all into the exactly same stuff. We'll talk about RoboCop and stuff like that, and we'll all have a great time and talk about Warhammer and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, it's like, and we're all kind of appreciating each other's thing because you made something I would love to wish I could see or make, and it's
Yeah.
it's amazing at the moment. I think this is the thing, like we're in a time where this kind of aesthetic, I don't know, this theme of thing that we're all into is everyone's realizing that, we can all just do our own thing
Yeah.
and support each other in it. And like I say, Glaive's
Make a
it was
Facebook
really
page
sweet of
for
him to do that.
it. Invite all his
Yeah, yeah.
friends.
He's the sweetest guy out. He's
Yeah.
such a good dude. Like, yeah, and it was really sweet of him to do that because, again, like, you just put your work out there and
Good.
you don't know what anyone's going to say to tell you,
Well,
no.
yeah. I just
Mm.
want to maybe jump ahead a little bit to
Mm.
publishing, if that's all right. 'Cause I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
like
yeah.
it sort of feels like a natural segue into it because we're talking about Kickstarter, talking about
Mm.
Glaive and the like. So you self-publish and sell them through your own site. Others I've
Yeah,
seen do Kickstarters, and I've not published anything physically. All my stuff's online at the moment, but I
I
am
know, and I'm waiting
working.
for the day.
Well, it's
I'm
taking
begging you.
ages. It's taking ages. Yeah, I'm working towards that. Hopefully, in the next couple of months, but that's ambitious.
Mm.
Very busy. But yeah, and I'm like, do I want to do a Kickstarter? Do I want to just sell it? And I'm sort of leaning towards doing a Kickstarter just to sort of build,
Yeah,
like maybe attract a few more people. But
yeah.
yeah, what's your
Um,
thoughts on that?
I've always so when I started this, how do I get it out there? Basically, how do I show people this? I think I looked at what I could afford, because the tricky thing about just self-publishing is that you every money that goes into SideQuest is just literally what I've earned off my previous paycheck in some retrospect. Like, I didn't
Yeah,
have any money ready to go or anything like that. It was just like, I'm just going to spend my wages on
yeah,
making these comics. So there was like, okay, so now I've got to think, do I put it on there? Do I put it on that? And it was looking at how much percentage of cuts certain things take, like Etsy and stuff like that.
yeah.
And it was kind of a bit like, for it was basically getting to a point where I'm like, it's just not going to be able to I'm just going to be broke by if I do all these different things. And it was like, how do I do this in a way that I'm comfortable enough to go, okay, I don't mind a certain percentage of coming off for a fee, because at least it's like I think what I was trying to do was trying to find a platform to sell it on, and my biggest approach was, what's the safest platform in my retrospect of what do I feel comfortable being on. Big Cartel felt good because I've used it before, and like I say, like the fees and stuff like that didn't feel too bad. And like I say, like I'm not in it to make any profit and stuff like that. I haven't made any profit at all. But yeah, Big Cartel felt the best place because it was just simple to use. It was easy to kind of, that's all I wanted, was something nice to navigate. Didn't feel like there was any kind of like hidden things within it. So when when it came to the actual publishing of creating the book itself, I think it was originally I wanted to take. So I used to be like back in the day. I used to be in a couple of hardcore sort of punk kind of bands.
Yeah.
And the approach was always like the way that everything was done was like DIY approach. Like you do everything. You do your own merchandise. You do your own. You print out your own. You do your own recording. You do your own tours, and you sell your own merch and stuff like that. So I love the idea of what if I could create my own publisher place or publisher
like
that had like
completely
DIY
self-sufficient as well.
Yes, yeah. So I was looking into, do I just get my own printer? Do I do this? And just like I say, the cost is just astronomical. Like it's huge. I thought maybe do I print on different types of paper that would be doable, but then I was like, but I want to do the traditional comic book. I'll get into the comics at the end of it, because that's kind of like the reason we're here. But I wanted to do that comic feel because that's what I'm used to, and that's what, like for me, a comic book, as much as I'm a big 2000 AD fan, I've always enjoyed the US size. So, doing it in that format I wouldn't be able to do it when I, on my own back. So then I thought, okay, I'll look around, see if there's anywhere local, like I can get involved where, there's like the printer for it. And we've got this little kind of like connection going. And it was just tricky because the thing that I wanted, the way that I wanted it to be done was really particular, and it just wasn't something that kind of existed locally. So I went with Mixam.
Yes.
And the only reason I really went with Mixam was just because it was easy to, it was just simple to use, and you kind of knew what you were getting. It felt a bit against what I wanted to do. Like I said, if I had the money, everything would be printed in my living room right now, and SideQuest would just be this little office, and that'd be great. But unfortunately, sometimes you just have to take that kind of like, they're there to do that service, and
you should draw it every time. Maybe
one day.
That's like the monks used to do, just copy it out by hand.
We wouldn't even get paid.
No, I think it's fine to. I think Mixam, a lot of people use them. I've heard a lot of people recommend them. In fact, not really heard about people using many different places.
Well, that was
to be honest.
I couldn't. I had a look. I know there was a couple other out there, but I think the thing with Mixam, this is not endorsed by Mixam at all, but like I say, it was just their ability to kind of present it, for me being new to it, showing you what kind of things you can have within that. And I was like, that's made this a lot easier in the process. But yeah, it's a shame because like I say, I really wanted to do something that was just only in-house, and if I really wanted to, I was able to print some copies before a convention and then we're good to go. But unfortunately, the thing is as well, the reason why I wanted to do it in-house was that once I've sent it off, it's like you've put all that money in, you've paid for it, and it comes back, and you have so much anxiety of like, is this going to turn out right? Am I going to be happy with it still? So if I was in house, I could easily just be like, well, I'll print 2. I'm happy with that. Oh, I want to change that. Right, I'll reprint another one. So there is that kind of unfortunate gap between that and the publishing, which you just kind of have to just trial and error and just kind of like is what it is really. But so Mixam is where I went towards publishing, and then it's I'll be honest, I'm still figuring it out. I'm still learning so much more about it. I think I'm even now at the point with, I think the biggest things that I'm facing now is, I know you want to talk about like challenges and stuff like that, but like, um, I can go into that because it leans into it a little bit more. Was the challenges is like when you set this up as a sole trader, is
Yeah,
understanding how it works as a sole trader. Like I have a
yeah,
full-time job as well, but having this on the side, I'm always a person that likes to do things by the book or like legally is the best way to
yeah,
put it.
yeah,
So I didn't want to ever do something that would just be like, I'm uneducated in this thing. Technically, I'm going into it completely blind. So luckily I was able to reach out to a few other publishers and was like, look, I'm a sole trader. How would you recommend I do X, Y, Z? And it's annoyingly one of them things where you just have to spend a day on Google and just figure it all out. I think I'm set up now with like the tax and stuff like that, but
yeah.
it's
Is
it's
it you
it's
have to
one of the
earn over a
challenges.
certain amount before you pay tax?
Yeah,
So yeah,
basically
I'm
if you
safe
hit
then.
like a grand,
Yeah,
you hit a grand. This is how I think it is. I could be completely wrong. People shouting, Adam, you're doing it
yeah,
wrong.
yeah.
But
Don't.
when I hit a grand, you then say, okay, hi guys, I've now earned this much money.
Yeah,
Um, then you get put on the whole like, okay, then you need to tell us how much you made and your taxes and towards the end of the tax
right.
year. So
So
just want to talk about,
in
but
12
all I want to do is talk about
months.
goblins and demons and stuff like that. But
No, no,
it's
it's
you
fine.
can't do
No, this is good. So in
that.
12 months, will that be your first tax return?
Yeah.
All right. Good luck.
Yeah, I
I'm sure
know.
it's
That's the thing,
easy.
man. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, I think it will be. There's just so much uncertainty towards it, and being a
yeah.
sole trader and just you know, like one person doing this pretty much.
Mm.
It's yeah, it's crazy. But everyone must be starting in the same place, as that.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's the publishing element of it.
yeah. On
You know,
on on that, have you thought about doing like a Patreon or something similar? I guess it's more difficult when yours is more physical, actually.
yeah. So I've toyed with ideas of either a Discord or something
Yeah,
because what I want to, what I would like to do eventually is explore and drip feed the lore behind death, but subtly do it and provide it to people that want to know. There's nothing wrong in it if people aren't too fussed; they just want to read it, enjoy it, and then read some other comic books. But if people really want to kind of delve in, like I did with Dark Souls and stuff like that, is there is so much more to it that I've created that I would like to put out there, but I can't put in the comics because it just would be random.
mm.
Um, so if I had a Patreon or something like that, or what I would probably do is that people that are on that would get access to that information
Yeah,
well, what's the story behind a painting in one of in Walking Death? Who's that character? Because that character is a person who does exist within the realm of it. So maybe one day. But like I say, it was just again, it was like I don't know how it works. I don't know how Patreon works.
no,
I've
I
never
don't. I've set
used
one
one
up, but
before.
as in just registered an account. So I'll use this
Yeah, yeah,
maybe it's later on, and then it's there. But
yeah.
I think for me, what I'd want to do is have sort of create stuff like that when it's the right time.
Hmm.
I know I've just sort of
Yeah,
contradicted myself because I have registered an account, but there's nothing on it. But yeah, like
yeah.
don't
You can have it.
put the cart before the horse kind of thing. Because
Hmm.
see people do that, like, oh, you can follow me on Patreon. It's like you've got 10 followers. Like, I don't know, like, if you sort of ready or you're actually outputting stuff regularly enough to
Hmm.
justify me paying you a certain amount every
That's
month.
exactly how I feel.
And it's like, I think for me to sort of go, look, I'm going to do a Patreon. I think you need to have a big enough audience to start with, and then
Hmm.
you need to be able to commit to producing regularly
Yeah,
to justify what people are signing up for. I've seen
I agree.
Patreons where people produce stuff for a few months and then they just stop. And
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I wouldn't want to do that. If like I start
I
that,
agree.
that's going until
Yeah,
I am deaf.
I think yeah, I'm exactly the same as you, mate. Like it, I don't ever want to ask people's money if I can't provide, if that makes
Yeah,
sense, to something that I'd rather just, again, like SideQuest, just do it for free. I'd rather, if there's a Discord, I can just put the content out there when I want, and not
Put it
have to
online
feel.
then. Do a webcomic like
I
me.
know, but where?
Every well, I mean,
Yeah, I think.
so I use a few just to lean on my webcomic experience over the past 6 or so years. And you know what? I'll go through all the different
Yeah.
places I've tried because it ties into how do we promote our comics as well. This, but the one I've found most consistent is Comic Fury, but that I don't think is the biggest in terms of audience. I think most people on Comic Fury tend to be other comic creators, so they're not necessarily on there looking for something to read. They're on there to sort of share their work. But
Oh, okay, cool.
I find it more user friendly for me than perhaps Tapas and Webtoon. Whereas Tapas and
Okay.
Webtoon, I really struggled to sort of get people to read and interact to the extent that I've just stopped posting on there because no one engages
Oh,
with it. I
fair.
think there's just too much noise.
Right.
It's hard to stand
I
out.
think that's another
Uh,
thing, isn't it? Yeah, there's
Yeah,
so much noise on these platforms
but
and stuff like that, where it's just like, you know, I think there's Itch. Is it Itch? I think it's called. Where you can find like loads of stuff on. You can find like games and everything like that, but there's comics on that again.
yeah,
But again,
okay,
it's digital and it's not something I want to kind of branch into. Like,
yeah,
I mean, I've got all the love for digital stuff anyway. I've got nothing wrong with it. But for me, it's like, all the stuff that I love is print. And this is something CJ, I keep saying CJ, I think his name's CJ. CJ, if I've got it wrong, I'm so sorry. But in Glaive, it's all about that print, like I
yeah,
said, I grew up in the 90s and magazines and White Dwarf and stuff like that was just, read it for hours until it just fell apart. So for me, having something physical, and I think that's kind of like tying into like the independence at the moment and where we're at now, is people do want physical. People are enjoying something they can hold and
yeah. I've
collect
noticed
and
that.
have. And I think that's kind of like that uprising at the moment that we're having, is that, everything is digital and everything's so kind of like just on our phone. So being able to just be like, like, what did we
I
say?
think
Like,
if you're digital, you're competing with so many other things as well, not just other comics,
yeah,
but other apps,
yeah,
other.
yeah, exactly.
It's hard to stand out, and it's hard to again justify your your audience to your audience to spend
Yeah,
invest their time with what you're selling or
hell
producing.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think yeah, it's definitely.
Hmm.
I think you asked me a question. I'm so sorry, mate. You asked me
No, it's
what
all
was
right.
the actual.
I was just gonna say, well, we'll talk about
Welcome to my
promoting
brain, by the way.
because oh, mine's the same.
Yeah, I'm
Because
just
like
looking at heaps of comics I can't wait to
no,
talk
you're
about.
but yeah, so like, cause I think you've been really good at promoting your comic, and I'll just sort of touch
Right.
on what.
So I'm actually quite. So luckily, well, not luckily, but basically, I'd come from a marketing background.
Yeah,
So everything that like I say, I'm so used to doing things like this for someone else, and it took me forever to realize, hang on a minute, what you can do, you're allowed to, it'd be nice
yeah,
to do this for me. And again, it's a bit gross and it's a bit like a bit corporate-y, I guess you could say, but like it's helped me connect with other people in some retrospect. So all I've ever I've never gone too heavy on like the marketing aspect or anything like that. I've just done the very kind of core things to kind of just, again, like connect with other people and get people to see my comic and talk about it. That's all I ever wanted. So I always wanted things to be nice and consistent when it comes to like how things look on social. So everything will have like a kind of style,
yeah,
and that will follow that pattern so that things feel consistent. And then the only other thing I really do is there's a couple a couple of quid here and there on a couple of ads,
okay,
social ads, just to kind of, like I say, like I'll probably spend more than I'll ever make back on the ads, and I'm fine with that, because again, it's like I'd rather I'm more than, and again, I'm probably thinking like, it's a bit of a sellout or something like that, in comparison to the punk DIY approach I wanted to do, but I'm happy spending X amount of money on some ads on Instagram or something like that, if it meant within a month that one person's bought one of the books and then had a conversation with me and said, this is, X, Y, Z, and tell me about this, what they think to it, and that's all I want. So it's always worth it for that. If people are doing it just because they want to make money and they feel like they're not making the money back, again, you're just in the wrong. You should be selling something else in some retrospect, because when it comes to this, it's like, it's so personal, like these comic books and these stories that we're telling and this whatever we're doing, it's all personal, and that's what's important. If someone comes back to me, like I've had so many people come back to me about, after reading about, and being quite open about their mental health and stuff, of how they've applied, how they feel within the stories, and I'm like, that's worth $1 million to me. That's incredible,
Yeah.
So
I think I'm
in terms of, like, say,
similar position where like I'm not out there to make money. I'd rather people read and engage with what I'm producing than pay me, because everything's available for free. But there's so yeah, I get
it's kind of like if we're, especially like if we were knights on a quest, by the end of the day, we'd probably all sit by the fire and, like
tell
talk
tales.
about stories and tales and pass them on, and they were always for free. And that's why that was the kind of approach to it. It's like, I'd happily go on a quest with these, like with 5 people that are going to tell me amazing stories than 100 people that are just going to absolutely tell me nothing and just be focused on the one thing.
I don't know, it depends if that 100 people, like, they're good at slaying dragons or whatever. Someone rather be alive with no stories.
We probably won't make it very far.
Well, have a good time though. Yeah, I'll go and say as well, like, because I've seen your adverts for A Tragedy in Death, I think it was, on Instagram, but not on my not on my Notonomicon account. My personal account. I don't know if that's to do with the algorithm or whatever, but I've seen you pop up, or in various places outside of Instagram as well. And I think it's interesting that, because I've done the same, where I've spent a couple of quid to try and promote something on Facebook. Don't bother. I mean, that's just an absolute waste of time trying to reach
Facebook,
people on there. In my opinion, but I will come back to that in a second though, because there's something interesting on Facebook. Because TikTok as well. Just videos.
I tried it.
I think people don't engage unless it's moving. So I did so much last year, but I did the time lapse videos where I drew some random characters, and
cool.
I got some decent engagement with that. But then I started putting the goblets and goblins on, like, because there are only 4 panels, so each panel on their own picture, and you can, with music, you can scroll across, and that's very up and down. You sometimes get a decent amount of likes and views, and then sometimes no one watches it. And I'm posting it at the same time every week, and like sort of try and be as as regular as possible. And
just all over,
which is weird, but I think it sounds like it's worth spending a little bit on Instagram.
I think the best way to do it is approach it the way that you would engage with it. So for me, I enjoy most of the stuff I engage with is on Instagram.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, and then the stuff that I kind of the ads that I create are like trying to look a bit like old school Games Workshop adverts.
Yeah.
So again, it's like I do stuff that I advertise to me. It's the only way I could say it. And because all the stuff that I love that's out there that people are doing do the same thing. They make stuff that they kind of resonate with each other. It's like, and I only do it as if just to be like, I'm not trying to get everyone in the world to look at this. I'm just being like, hey, I think we like the same stuff. check this out because I've checked your stuff
Yes.
out. That's really cool. You might like this. So it's more just like keeping it within that realm
So
and not feeling like you have to just expand out into
yeah,
everything like that. Because like I say, if you do that, it just everything becomes so diluted. And like I say, you miss out on these connections that I've spoke to so many amazing people, like really just amazing people about like all the stuff that we're into, and like yourself as well. Like it's so much more amazing than just being like people I'd never even know and won't even come back to me or anything or chat about, stuff we're into. So
yeah.
yeah, definitely like market to yourself.
Well,
It's maybe a
the,
thing, I
the
don't know.
point I was gonna make, because I've learned it recently, but I think finding more niche communities where you can promote your comics. So, for example, keep mentioning it, but the comic I do, Goblets and Goblins, which is like a tabletop RPG inspired
Nice.
weekly 4-panel webcomic, I've been sharing that in tabletop RPG groups, and
See, that's
you get some interaction. The problem there is, so like I've been sharing it, and I've been trying different groups, and I found one where I get decent engagement with it, so like quite a few likes and a few comments. But what I've found is you're at the whim of the admins. So I found other groups where it
yeah.
was doing well, and I was going to make a video about this and put it on YouTube, but I started recording it and then decided not to because it was just so negative. But I found a subreddit and I started sharing my comic on there,
Oh, cool.
and it started off all right, and then I had one that I got like 400 and something likes, and I thought that was a lot for me. I was like, that's
It's really
great.
cool. Yeah.
This is sort of, yeah, I'm getting people. I'm like, I need to keep going. And then I went for a period, so I think, say that was 6 weeks ago. The admin or some sort of algorithm blocked me from posting, and
Oh,
so then all that momentum was just lost because
just gone.
yeah, because you're at the whim of the admin. And I saw someone else posting this in another comic group where it's like, what's one of the biggest challenges, sort of publishing and getting people to read your comic, and he summed it up a lot better than I'm going to now. But he said you have to post everywhere. But then through posting everywhere, you get identified as spam, and people sort of block
Yeah.
you and tune you out, and it's very difficult to do because you've got to shout and go, read me, or read my work.
Yeah.
But it's very easy for people to go, no. So yeah, that's something it's difficult to find the right community, and it's how to sort of cultivate those likes into something useful
Mm.
as well, because it's all right getting 100 likes on a post on Facebook in one group, but how do you translate those into regular readers on your actual social media, like your
Yeah.
Instagram, etc.? So I'm finding that difficult. I think what some people do that's useful is they'll have like a picture that they'll go, right, follow me on Instagram at the end. So you read the comic, the last panel says, follow me on
Yeah.
Instagram, and points towards it. But yeah, I think it's hard to sort of translate that sometimes.
Yeah. I think again I think if you go in, like I was saying earlier, if you go in with the mindset of like I'll just set your, I guess, expectations low in a good way. Just be like, if it works, if it works, if it doesn't, be ready for if things, if I don't want to say failure, but like if things don't work out,
Yeah.
because it's, that's handy because then you can learn from it. Okay. And I guess like keep it, I think I've always found for what I'm trying to do anyway, is just kind of keep it within the smaller areas, but the ones that will appreciate it the most. Like, like again, like kind of what Glave's done and stuff like that. They've just put it together, and if people enjoy it, people enjoy it. If they don't, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
And it's the same for most things that are just out there. Is that if people if people enjoy it and appreciate it, that's all that and it's a small amount of people, but it doesn't matter because that's all that matters
Yeah.
in some
I think
respect
if
because they
you
enjoy
make
it, and
something for
celebrate it.
yourself
Yeah,
that you're passionate about, that you would really enjoy, then
yeah,
you're going to find like-minded people and find an audience elsewhere. Yeah, eventually. But
definitely.
yeah, you will if you're doing something that's like you keep saying is for with the best of intentions, the right intentions. It's not for the money. It's for the love of
Yeah,
the art or the love of what you're
that's
creating.
exactly
Then
it.
you should find the
Yeah,
right audience.
it's
Which
the love of the art. Yeah,
I wish that
I
were the
think that's
case.
bang on.
Like, I get what you mean, but yeah, I think there's a
Yeah.
bit more to it than that. Actually, now I've said it out loud. Didn't want to end all airy fairy, but yeah, I think
Yeah,
there's useful tips to sort
yeah, I
of
think, and
maximize that,
then,
should I
like I
say?
say, like that is the challenge, isn't it? The challenge is like, how are people going to see this? And like I say, there's, when I started this out to try and get a walk out there, I must have done about 20 emails to different people, and I got like 3 back. But the 3 back, it was just like I wanted to celebrate. It was the best feeling ever. It was just like, oh my god, someone's willing to do this and give me a chance and stuff like that. And I think the Forbidden Planet here in Nottingham, they've
Yeah,
been
they're really good
really
at
sweet about it.
supporting independent
Yeah,
creators.
like
Yeah.
I got lucky with that because that's how I kind of got in touch with Inkblot. And the
Oh, really?
reason, the cool thing is what they've sort of said is that the reason why they've been so supportive is because I've asked, hey,
Yeah.
are you okay? Can I give you a couple more copies or that? I think they've said, yeah, the reason, one of the reasons why we're happy stocking you is because you ask and
I'm gonna
you
do
don't
the same,
expect.
by the way. When mine's ready, I'm driving over to Forbidden Planet.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
sort of sell them at wholesale, or
Uh,
do they sort of
there's
sell it
like
on your behalf and take a commission?
they they pay. I think as far as I know, they basically take them at
Yeah,
cost, and
pay
then they
yourself
pay
like
me.
£20 an hour in that cost as
Yeah,
well.
it's like they'll take most take it like a percentage cost of
Yeah,
like percentage of the retail price or whatever I want to sell it at, and then they'll pay me that, and then they sell them at the recommended amount. And again, like you know, I'd like it to be as cheap as possible every time. Like I've always said, if I could do it like as cheap as I could, I would. But the problem is the thing is, there's a point where you have to just go. But without some bit of funding, it's not going to
yeah, it's not
exist. So
sustainable.
you have to bite the bullet a bit. But I've always tried to keep it at the £5.50 minimum,
Yeah,
because that's enough for me to feel comfortable with. And I remember, like, I always think as well, would I buy a comic book for a £5? Of course I would. That's great. Yeah, there's £5. We've got a story.
yeah,
This is something I own now for a £5. Bargain. So I always think like that approach. But yeah, they normally just send like it's like a cost of a percentage of the cost itself. So.
yeah. Okay.
But yeah, and like I
Yes.
say, like the guys at Igloo Tree, they God, it was so sweet of them because the first for walk, I was like, "Are you?" They must have said to them about 3 times, "Are you sure you want to stock this? Are you sure
Yeah.
it's okay?" And they were like, "Yes. Can you just send us the copies?" And then when it came to tragedy, they were just like, "Yeah, send them over." And I'm like, "Well, don't you want to know what it is?"
Yeah.
They were like, "No, send it over. We'll take it."
I've done it
So
where I've gone in before because I've got posters, and I'll go in and put my posters up to promote my webcomic, and some of them will just say no. Some of them, like, tell you who was really nice. OK Comics in Leeds, really supportive of the
okay, yeah,
independent comic scene. But
yeah.
yeah, worst they can do is say no. I guess it's hard sometimes having that confidence to go in.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
do you know what? It's funny you say okay because I tried to get them into okay, and they were just honest, and I respected that. They just said like totally honest with you, like we just don't have the space, and I'm
Have
like
you
that's
been to
totally fair.
OK Comics in Leeds?
Yeah. I absolutely
It's
adore OK
yeah,
Comics.
it's crazy. Yeah,
It's definitely one of my favorite shops,
yeah,
and I really like what they're doing because I think I like the fact that they celebrate comic books. And that they're really like that they're passionate about
yeah.
the
Got
community that they've
really
got as well.
strong knowledge of comics as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that I love as well, that they're honest. I
Mm.
remember a while back when, that because I used to work at Forbidden Planet a long time ago,
Oh,
so I
really?
know how it kind of is. But like, um, uh, they, their reality of a small, well, not small, but an independent comics shop it's tricky. It's not easy, and they've, I respect that they're honest about certain things, and even things with like their standing orders and stuff like that. Like, it's their own money going in. If no one's buying the comics that they want them to order in and stuff like that, and and I just it's an odd one, because it's just not a scary time, but I just hope that things work out, and I hope that, and I have a feeling that things with the independent side of it will kind of grow a bit, because people who love this industry will want to help it and do what we can for it, and that's kind of, I think that's what was the kind of kick to make an independent comic myself, was because there's I've got to talk about them, because if I don't talk about them, it would be really bad.
All right.
But I guess I don't know if you want to. I'm kind of jumping in on this, but I don't know if you want me to talk about the comic side of like the inspirations and stuff like that.
Well, I'm excited because I think I'm running out of time, to be honest, because we've only got.
Oh, fair.
Yeah,
No,
we've only
it's
got
fine.
limited time on this
I can hold that
software that
I've
we're
got
using, unfortunately. But I think it'd be useful to do this again at some point, because I think
definitely
probably discuss so much, because I wanted to talk to you about your creative process and all that, and we've not had time. But
100%. Mate, I'm more than happy to do more of this, because, like I say, it's I feel bad, because, like I say, mate, this wasn't going to be a half an hour.
No, I always knew it could take a while, but it's all really interesting stuff. This is what I wanted to mention, which I found interesting. Apologies if it's like not the most productive thing to say, but a little while ago, one of my partner's friends, her dad was doing a house clearance, and he found a load of old comics in a box, and she didn't know anything about comics, so she said, "Can you have a look and see if there's anything valuable?" And it's brought like 2 big tubs full of comics, all absolutely ruined by the, like just being in the attic and just like moldy and like horrible.
No.
None of them really worth anything, but what this guy had collected, he'd got loads of independent comics from like the 90s.
Oh,
when
wow.
people,
Oh,
and
hell
it
yeah.
just so many, and I was just thinking like, it sort of opened my eyes a bit, like it's been going for a long time, and probably will continue to go for a long time, and there's just stuff out there, like, just to echo what you've been saying, like very niche things that people have created because they were passionate about it. I know there were one about like lesbians and and I can't remember what they did, but yeah, like
it's like
stuff that would have been very, like, you couldn't put it mainstream because it would have been frowned upon.
exactly.
But yeah, like lesbian superheroes and stuff. Really interesting.
And I think that's exactly it. It's just like it's people's ability to express themselves through it, and that's why it's indie comics and stuff like that, and zines and all that. It's just an amazing thing, because it's such a personal approach to what people are trying to do, and that's why, like, being able to support that and do what we're doing, and going to like these conventions like Inkblot, and I went. There was one that I was at, the Nottingham Zine Fest.
Yeah, saw that.
It's just awesome. It's just awesome. People just being just absolutely in love with what they're doing, and putting it out there. And like I say, like, I've got to mention them, because if I don't, I'll be absolutely gutted if I don't. These guys, because like I say, I'd love to go through some comics and actually talk about comics with you, but these guys need such a shout out. The Spinks and Bear, they did this comic called Guardian, and they're based in Nottingham, and it was the biggest push for side quests, because basically they put out this comic, which is like a dark fantasy setting, so it's all done in like a kind of like charcoal kind of artwork, like that. Without these guys, it just, the inspiration to do what I'm doing just wouldn't exist, because like I say, they were just 2 dudes that just love the stuff we're into, and they were just like, hey, should we just make this comic? And they got it out there, and it was picking up, and it was all the things that I just think are awesome. And then I remember seeing this in Forbidden Planet. I was just like, I've got to do it. These boys are going for it.
Like, what's stopping
just go
you?
for it.
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, like massive shout out to them boys, because yeah, if this wouldn't, if amongst all the other stuff that I've probably punished you with today,
I'm not punished us at all.
but yeah, like without them, without these as well, these are also Nottingham based. Have you ever?
Hang on, let me check, because I'm sure that's behind me
Have you
somewhere.
got this?
I'm sure it's behind me. Can't see it though.
Oh yeah,
I'm just gonna turn around again.
yeah, hell yeah.
Where is
I'm
it?
pretty sure I saw it
Oh,
earlier in the
it's up here.
background.
Hang on.
Yeah, yeah,
There, above my head.
yeah. Yeah.
Are they
Without
in
that as
Nottingham
well,
as
'cause
well then? I didn't realise they were
they're Nottingham as
Nottingham.
well.
Alright.
Yeah, yeah. So it
Yeah.
was just again, it was like that black and white old school D&D sketch artwork.
Yeah.
That I was just like, oh my god, Alex Crispin who does it all. You know that.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, without that and Guardian, yeah, it would just not be. But yeah, man, the indie comics. I think going back to that just dead quickly, before,
Yeah.
it was in lockdown when I started to kind of really delve into indie comics. And where I got the Big Cartel ideas, because most people were selling theirs on Big Cartel. And yeah, it was just cool because it was a way to kind of think that someone's just running their own little project and stuff like that and doing their thing at the moment. And I felt more good about what I was getting, if that makes sense. Like it felt good. It felt good because someone's, put the heart and soul into this and put it out there.
Yeah.
And, it's probably just one person that's doing the same thing as what I'm doing now. But it was just a way of appreciating someone else's story and stuff like that. So realizing what indie comics was more around the time of lockdown, because like I said, I was just buying anything. I would type in Big Cartel comics or comic zines and anything, because I just wanted anything, because I just wanted a bit of a break from what was kind of put out there, or
Yeah. I think,
and it was just a nice feeling.
the sad thing is, because you've just reminded me of something, and I'll say this and then we'll wrap up, because we're tight on time.
Sorry, mate.
No, it's not your fault. Oh, don't apologise. But I think, yeah, check out some web comics. There's a lot out there, and there were two that I really liked. That were very niche. One was called Shitty Raiders. I remember I used to talk to the guy on Twitter when it was still Twitter, and I think he's disappeared now. But it was like, I think he's deleted the comic as well. But it was just like three guys in like a Mad Max-esque just like a comedy, and it was just like, yeah, it was just the way he told his story was so good. I really enjoyed that. And then there was another one called Dog Assassin of the Future that were just and that's been deleted as well, which is really sad.
I think that's the thing, though.
Yeah.
Like, just highlighting what you said. Like, you reached out to them. I think that's something I did for every single one.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing I loved about the indie comics, was like I could just message this person on Instagram. I was like, dude, I've just read your book.
Yeah,
It's absolutely
it's
amazing. And it's funny because now I'm getting that hit this way, and I know how that feels, and it's just like, I'm glad that I did that, because I'm glad that it was enough to just make that person go, all right, another one then. Great. Like just enough to, and I think my favorite thing was just getting the book, reading it, and straight away messaging them and tagging them. And just being like, this is incredible. Your book's great. Please keep making more.
I think that we would need to support each other.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's probably, I wouldn't say it needs to be competitive. Some people might be a bit competitive,
I don't
but
think
yeah,
it needs to be at all.
I think, yeah,
I don't
just
think it needs to be.
support each other, tag each other, and build each other up.
If it was competitive as well, it's like you can't measure the kind of similarities between people's independent comics in some retrospect. Like, I know you could technically say that Guardian and A Walking Death is a similar sort of vibe, but it's completely different. Like it's and that's the cool thing, is like, I'm not, like, I think you're right. It's bang on. Like, there's no competitive aspect. It's more just like, there could be a push to kind of like, oh, I like that, I might try that with mine. But yeah, like, it's a supportive kind of aspect, which is amazing.
Like, if someone's only got so much money to spend, then I get that, but there's nothing to stop someone from following you on Instagram or social media and that kind of thing, and engaging and buying it when they can afford to, because
100%.
Right. Well, I've not prepared an outro, so yeah, I'll just say Adam. Really, like I've got down the list, got to the
Thanks so
bottom,
much
like
for this,
forgot
man.
about that. Yeah, well,
It's been ages.
it's,
Yeah.
it
And we
has.
should,
It's
I'd
been
love to
more
do another
like
one.
a date in lockdown than anything else. But yeah.
Oh my
Like,
God, yeah, dude, seriously, yeah.
yeah, it's
Hell
really good.
yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah, hell yeah.
thank you very much. I'll put
Yeah.
all your links in the descriptions below, as they say.
Thanks,
But
man.
yeah, thank you very much. And
Yeah.
yeah.
No, thank you, dude. And this is mint, and I'm excited to see where this goes for you because I think this is brilliant. And
Yeah.
yeah,
The
like,
moon.
and just
We'll see.
please print some. I want to start buying your
I
stuff,
will.
please.
Just time, and it would this year. Hopefully, in the next few months. Yeah, I'm
Hell
committed to
yeah,
it.
man.
Yeah.
Hell
All
yeah.
right. Thank you very much.
All right, dude.
Cheers.
Amazing.